All right, Catch Aids, the heavy metal picker, back again. And today, got an old school fanzine for you. It's called Dreaded Zine. It was put out by Dave Kibler of Lividity many years ago. I'm thinking this came out in early 97, maybe 1996. I got it on eBay from a guy who calls himself Count Grishnakh. I think he's from somewhere out in middle of nowhere, Ohio. And he's selling old demos, old zines, and even letters written by famous musicians, underground musicians from like the 90s. He even is selling a letter that I had wrote to John Dwyer of Pathos Productions back in 1996. So if any of you have $20 burning a hole in your pocket, you can read that. But that story is getting covered in another video. First things first, there's an internal bleeding ad on the back of this. Hey, Fago, ram this up your booty hole. And it is for the then new album, Internal Bleeding, Extinction of Benevolence, which I do believe came out in early 1997. Total heaviness, complex, slammability, all in one package. Internal Bleeding is back and still proudly flying the banner of death metal. Definitely not a rainbow-colored banner. Feel the complete hatred for yourself. No Fago-assed makeup-wearing, treble-filled bullshit. Just pure heaviness. The way metal is supposed to be. Out in stores now. That's when we used to buy records at record stores. If you cannot find it at a store, ask them to order it. Oh man, that was a big problem back before there was the internet. You have to ask the store to order, heavy metal stuff. And usually the clerk would look at you like you had AIDS or something. Send $15 in 1997 money or a money order made out to Chris Pervelis. You know what? That's a pretty cool last name, isn't it? Internal Bleeding, Department of Human Suffering in Lake Grove, New York. Fighting for the integrity of death metal, because few people will. All right. What bands are covered in this? Evil Incarnate. That's one of those bands that I think was associated with Numbskull, which is one of those North Chicago bands. North Chicago is where the rich white people live. Lake County, it's in between like Chicago and the Wisconsin state line. Scattered Remnants, great band from like Massachusetts. I wrote to a couple of the guys in that band like a million years ago. Deaden. Yeah, saw Deaden once in 1997. Yeah, with Regurgitation, Clean Flesh, Reefer Hut, Internal Bleeding, Leveled. Horror of Horrors. That's a band from Maryland. Metalcore editor Chris Forbes ran he was this scene stalwart, I should say, and this was way before there was a genre metalcore. So the zine was called Metalcore. Plus tons of the sick and brutal, the crap of the underground, and it costed $5 in 1997 money. And because people who were death metal fans back then didn't have a whole hell of a lot of money, you just had to take a bunch of paper and go to Kinko's. That's where we copied stuff back then and just stapled everything together. So I'm going to read you some of this crap here. All right, Mike's page. It's just an introduction here. Dave's page of extremities. Fuck yeah, we're back with another solid issue of Dreaded. Dave, meaning Dave Kibler. Of material to bludgeon your weak existence on this wretched planet. Hope you enjoy reading, and as always, we'd like to hear your comments. Not that it will influence any future issues, but just say it like you mean it. To start, I will have to say that our band Lividity has an 11-song CD called Fetish for the Sick. And yes, I got that the same day I saw Lividity and all those other bands play, Deaden and all that. And it was released by Bladed Records in Ohio. Yep, Brian Baxter's pretty cool. We have some killer gigs lined up in support of it. Champaign Death Fest, Milwaukee Metal Fest, Chicago, Illinois, Decatur, Illinois, Piqua, Ohio, where I saw them, where I was born. Maryland, and a couple in between. A thank you from Rich and Flesh Grind. Flesh Grind's a killer band that I didn't know at the time was kind of like a Broken Hope clone, because I discovered Flesh Grind before I discovered Broken Hope. Nielsen and Reefer Hut. Reefer Hut was a really catchy band from Pickle, Ohio as well. I've uploaded one of their songs that I guess they've kind of disowned. Just check it out. Vaughn and Deaden, Rob and Pessimist and the Perverts I am honored to jam with, and he's just doing a bunch of thanks here. Okay, so we got a Deaden interview, and let's see if there's any questions that are actually worth checking out here, because like a lot of these questions are, has the sound and style strengthened over the years? You know, just typical BS questions. You'd think that, you know, since Dave Kibler knew Deaden pretty well and Vaughn Young of Deaden eventually joined Lividity, he'd ask some more interesting questions. Oh, give details pertaining to your mini tour with Nile. Well, in August, we're trying to do a tour. Nile will just do some of the shows, and they will be in the studio doing their new CD for Visceral Productions. The CD would have been Black Seeds of Vengeance. Check out Nile Rules, but 15 or 16 shows around the east side of the U.S. And back then, I saw this old-ass flyer, and Nile was opening for Incantation. Man, things were different in the 90s, let me tell you what. Top 5 to 6 albums of all time, any demos to recommend? All right, let's check this out. That's tough, but in any order, not just metal: SOD, Speak English or Die, Sodom, Persecution Mania, Slayer, South of Heaven, Iron Maiden, Power Slave, and Peace of Mind, Metallica, Kill 'Em All, Obituary, Cause of Death, and Napalm Death, up until and including Utopia Banished. Well, not saying those are bad albums, but they're kind of predictable. All right. Crushing demo bands: Deaden, Internal Bleeding, Dying Fetus. At the time, I think Purification Through Violence was relatively new. And since it was a short 8-song album, it was still kind of considered an EP at the time. Eroticide. I think I forgot about that band. Flesh Grind, Dismembered Fetus, Sepsism, Sickness. Oh, God. Made a video about that band. Awesome. Hemdale. Hemdale's pretty cool. Yeah. What do you think about the European scene? I don't think Deaden ever toured Europe, but he's just talking about bands. Kadath, I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that correctly. Disabled, Penis Leech, Infected Pussy, Sickness. There was another band called Sickness in Europe. There's a million bands called Sickness, whatever. Deaden is a gore band with memorable groove-laden crunch. This is exciting indeed, heavy, moshy, and sick. What are your opinions of thy style? Are you satisfied with the material? We are happy with our style, sound, and songs. And they will just get better later. All right, cool. Whatever. Yeah, that was kind of a boring interview. What the hell? Evil Incarnate. Is there anything interesting? Jesus Christ. Yeah, this interview's boring. Let's see what else we got here. Numbskull. I had the CD, When Suffering Comes, way back when. My favorite song on it was called Inquisition of the Guilty. And one thing I remember, I think that song had to do with O.J. Simpson. And at the end of the song, you hear 12 shouts the word guilty, followed by the N-bomb. I listened to that. I got a big chuckle out of it. But that was, way back in the 90s before everything was super offensive. But I don't know. Just take that as what you will. I haven't listened to that album in years. I don't think it's really spectacular enough for me to go check out again. Numbskull was the same Numbskull that was like sort of lighter thrash and had an album in like 87, and then they resurfaced in 1996 as a death metal band. Okay, is there anything worth a shit on this? Oh, God. Oh, Scattered Remnants. Let's check out the Scattered Remnants issue. Hello, Rob. I think Rob was the guy in the band. I think he was the drummer who was also a pretty good artist, if I remember correctly. You took Jason Sarate's place and play guitar. Okay, so this guy's guitar. and played on the first demo, Procreating Mass Carnage. That demo was sick. Jay Hendershaw's got some really sick inhale screams on that. You got to check it out. And it's just really good stuff. All right. So he's talking about his replacement here. Well, man, I joined the band 3 years ago, and actually 3.5 years ago, I pretty much came into the band right after the Procreating demo was released, but I did not take Jay Serate's place, man. I took the place of the other guitar player, Mark LeBlanc. Okay, so I guess I was right. I guess the problem was the guy just wasn't into it as much as the rest of the band, and well, Jay said that he sucked anyway. Now that sounds spiteful. I don't really know because I don't talk to this kid due to the fact that every time I see him somewhere, he gives me the look of fucking hate. But who cares? It didn't bother me at all that he is no longer in the band because I got in when he left. Ha ha. But yeah, he played on the Procreating demo with Jay Serate too, man. Like I said, right after that demo came out, he was asked to leave the band due to lack of interest and shit. But I don't know what the real reason for it was. Okay. When did you start playing guitar? Was Scattered Remnants your first band? What brutal sick shit did kick your ass? Well, I played guitar for about 6 to 8 years, and I'm not exactly positive on that one because I wasn't serious about it until I started playing with bands. But no, Scattered was not the first band I ever played in. And yeah, the first band actually had a demo out and shit, and it was pretty blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this is kind of a boring question. Jesus Christ. So drummer problems. Any memorable shows? Okay, this has got to be a good answer here, I hope. Well, man, I can honestly say that all the shows that we play are worth mentioning because I'm just happy to play, you know? The scene around here totally fucking sucks because it's all friggin' alternative shit here. You know what? We back then didn't know how lucky we had it. Even though there was a lot of alternative shit, it seemed like every band back then, like, okay, what kind of music you play? And they'd say, well, it's not metal. It's kind of like heavy alternative punk. And they'd all say that. Heavy alternative punk. At the time, they just called it buttcore. It was pretty terrible, though. But this was at the time when metal and even death metal kind of reached a plateau and eventually became really just uncool. And man, back then, I lived out in Ohio, in the middle of nowhere, and the scene was still strong. A year or two after it had fallen off most everywhere else. All right, there were so many fucking awesome bands like Winger, White Lion, Kiss, and Crocus. Oh wait, wrong show. Ha ha ha. Just kidding, man. There were seriously some great bands there. Some of my faves were Legion, Embalmer, Avernus, Internal Bleeding, Immolation, Incantation, but doesn't everybody worship those guys? Probably referring to just Incantation. And blah, blah, blah. Okay, you got an upcoming album called Destined to Fail. And geez, there's like a big long paragraph that could have been summed up in 2 sentences. Let's just see what else there is in here. Scattered Remnants, Destined to Fail. Death metal will never be the same. It comes out in September 1997. Look at that. Death metal will never be the same. I don't recall having listened to Destined to Fail, but maybe I'm a little bit pessimistic, but I doubt it's as good as the demos. Horror of Horrors. You know what? I don't feel like reading this crap. So who is kicking ass in the underground? All right, what do the guys in Numbskull think? Definitely bands mentioned above, along with bands like Deeds of Flesh, Severance, Dehumanized, Flesh Grind, Dying Fetus, Euphoric Evisceration. Never heard of that one. Sea of Tranquility. There are too many to list. Also a lot of distros like Repulse, Coven of Death, Cursed, and Visceral Productions. Man, I miss Visceral Productions. I had a couple of BS conversations with Craig from Visceral Productions years ago. And, any cool shows lately? All right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Dave Kibler wasn't exactly the best interviewer here. Jeez. Oh, man. Wait a minute. What's this? Is Kenosha, Wisconsin, the porn and cheese capital of the world? And would you rent porno tapes starring Dave Kibler and Mike Smith? Mike Smith meaning the bass player of Lividity, not Mike Smith, the drummer of Suffocation. I think there was a member of Deceased named Mike Smith as well. I don't know if it's the porn capital of the world, but we do have a shitload of porno shops here. Maybe it's the beat-off capital of the world. Call you when you come across the Illinois-Wisconsin border is porn and cheese signs. And yeah, I'd rent a tape with you guys in it, just as long as it wasn't one of you guys solo. There's enough hot sluts in it, I'd buy the fucker. Okay, so that was a numbskull interview. What the hell? Okay, and then here we got just a bunch of like reviews, and Dave Kibler seemed overly diplomatic, meaning like he's really afraid to give anybody a bad review. Let's see. Okay, so he's reviewing his own album here. Lividity, Fetish for the Sick, Ablated Records, 1997. This is my band from Illinois, playing 11 songs of Cum Soak Torture Grind, recorded at Cinewave 32-track studio in Bloomington, Illinois. Such tunes are Lacerations of an Unclean Twat, Randomly Graped Rectum, Pussy Lover, and My Cock It Bleeds, as well as older tunes re-recorded like Immortal Impact, Graveyard Delicacy, Process of Disembowelment, and more. Excellent packaging consisting of full-color, graphically vivid, sexual torture drawn by Art Gore of Mexico, color photos, and a big surprise underneath the CD tray. Oh, I remember that. So, come on, pussy lovers, keeping it fucking sick. Gore whores welcome. And then, I guess you're supposed to order the CD. All right, what are some other bands he's reviewed that I know about? Stranger, that's the Mexico Disgorge, Morbid Entree, Wallow in Sickness, Wither and Death. That was a compilation I had a long time ago. Cybergasm, Droghita. Droghita was this grind band. I seen them in Dayton. It's just grindcore. Not really crazy about it. What else? He's reviewing bands like Natron. I think I remember that. Oppressor, Agony. Didn't really care for that. Pain God. Oh, man. Unleashed, Abstain, The Undertakers, Mad Hunter, Avalanche, Obituary, Back from the Dead. What does he have to say about Obituary, Back from the Dead at the time? Well, rumors of the demise of the cryptic, influential, and he misspelled influential, legends Obituary have been 86th from the literatures and the minds of those who had written them off. They are back, but I wouldn't say with a vengeance. Well, that's true. They use the predictable Obituary standard songwriting John Tardy is trying to vocalize in their prime. Yeah, right. Meaning 89, 1990. But I don't feel the same energy or aggression with the monotonously crappy rhythms that both don't have any memorable identity and no interest in Donald Tardy, and for some reason doesn't have the punch and power of the previous work. Yep, I agree with that. I guess probably due to a different recording studio before or something. The guitar solos written and played by Trevor Perez. What? The guitar solos have to be written and played by Trevor Perez because my band Lividity got to play with 6 Feet Under on a couple occasions, and Alan West sucks. I'm gonna guess the real guitarist in Obituary is Trevor to kick some major ass. Alan West and Chris Barnes were made for each other, rehashing riffs and patterns that probably that their other bands probably don't want to use. Check out a 6 Feet Under gig or album and you'll see why. Yeah. Actually, the only thing I really liked on that Back from the Dead album was the solo in Rewind. That was a good guitar solo. Rest of the album was pretty terrible, though. Agathocles, Anal Getaway, Anus of Love. This is a 2-song promo that they will release in the future on a CD. Fucking intense cyber death techno grind that will assassinate fagos with. It's totally sick masterpiece, and it will tear your soul apart, whatever. Old Man's Child, yeah, Satyricon, don't care about that. Ulver, Garden of Shadows, Pyrexia, Molested Senses. Autumn Dawn, I that was a band that involved a couple guys that would later go on to be in Dying Fetus, like Vince Matthews, who did the Jason's style vocals, but I don't think he sounds like Jason Netherton at all. He was really good, and Vince Matthews is really crazy and likes to post crazy things on Facebook, just embarrassing stuff. Let's see what this has to say. All right, Autumn Dawn. The CD's called Emptiness. It was on Wild Ride Records. Hailing from the state of Maryland, a two-man project with vocalist Vinnie Matthews from Sadistic Torment. The CD5, that meant 5 songs on a CD. That's what we called it back then. Major older style death metal influence like Unleashed, Grave, and Swedish. I don't really know if I agree with that. The music mixes it up, mid-paced, and yeah, that's true. Double kickers and melodic grooves. I'm pretty sure, yeah, this album had a drum machine on it. And a nice piece to check out, but the vocals don't satisfy my sickened fetish. No, I disagree with that. The last song, Disgust, kicked in and has a big Broken Hope sound to it, music only. So he didn't like Vinny's performance on that. I thought that I would like to listen to this album again. All right. Godflesh, Integrity, God, Tiamat, The Gathering, Iced Earth. What? Judecca. Oh! This might be interesting. Leveled and the Reefer Hut. Those were 2 bands from Pickle, Ohio, where I was born. Milwaukee Metal Mania promo, 1997. I received this from the guys in Leveled in Milwaukee, but they weren't on the bill of the show. They were just promoting their tunes. Okay? Yeah, okay. That's right. The drum machine is obvious. They used Leveled used a Roland Boss DR5, and the Reefer Hut used a DR660, which was like the next step up from what Mortician was using at the time, the DR550. All right, I'm a music nerd. I remember stuff like this. All right, the music is mid-paced gallop for the most part, very memorable, and the vocals are the death metal genre. This is all right, but isn't very energetic. 6 songs total, 3 are live. The best track is Brutal Side of Youth, the live version. Yeah, that is a good song. The Reefer Hut. These guys are a fucking sick good band. Their style is pounding sensation to the gonads, powerful anthems of death and torture. The dope smoker's way, of course. Poking incense in your eyes, clamping alligator clips all over your nuts, lacing PCP in your Cheerios, smothering your face in Feezer bag Ziploc with some of the finest green. Haha. 6 songs total with 2 live tracks. Write and see if it's still available. All right. All right. Sundown Emperor. And just a bunch of stuff I've forgotten about or haven't heard of. Oh, we got an old ass Jungle Rod ad. All right. Let's see if I can read this. This is all smudgy and wasn't copied too well. Jungle Rod. 9 brutal and memorable tunes that will devastate you, your weak existence, and warm-sounding production and bass-heavy recording death metal. Insanity at its finest from this Northern Illinois quartet. So spread the violence and extreme, slaughter the weak. Yeah, that was a full length. I had Skin the Living, which I guess was supposed to be a demo, but it had 10 songs. And I remember, like, you know, it was a well-recorded, well-played album, but I remember only liking 2 songs from that a lot. The songs I'm referring to were Killing Spree and Black Candle Mass. Those are really good. All right, what else do we have here? Infamy, The Blood Shall Flow. Yeah, I had this CD a long time ago. It was really good. All right, what does Dave Kibler have to say? This is one of the best death grind bands out of California. Yep, that's true. Fast riffs and split-second time changes entangled with slow and heavy pounds, along with the structure, the same structure as Count the Dead. Count the Dead was a really awesome demo that came out prior to that. I've uploaded the demos from Infamy on my music playlist, so go ahead and listen to that. It's so good. Titles include Mass Cremation, Onslaught of Carnage, Bodily Disembowelment. That's a really stupid song title. And my favorite, Cryptobiosis. 10 songs in total, a must purchase. For $5? Really? That's how much? Okay, so, all right, whatever. Dreaded Compilation, and yeah. Ton, Divination. There's a band called Soy. Yeah, I don't care about that. Oh, he reviews the Insanity Immortal Suffering split. That was pretty good. Insanity's half of the split album was called Vengeance from the Grave, and Immortal Suffering's half was called Images of Horror. And that was put out by Jill Girardi of Mortal Coil Records. Wondered, oh yeah, what's Jill Girardi doing nowadays? She converted to Islam and moved to Malaysia. Hey, stupider things have happened, right? All right, so about Insanity. Sick, powerful, heavy crushing grooves with some blasting here and there. A very killer band, studio and live. Yep, agree with that. And this has withstood all obstacles, and each release has stronger material and literally blast me away. Wow. The production is phenomenal. Phenomenal is misspelled. Real bass and thick, including Holocaust Divinity, Unjaded, Mortification, etc. On the more Immortal Suffering songs. Wow, I was shocked. Didn't know what to expect from the East Coast gore whores. I assumed it was to possess the signature Suffocation style, but not this release. Fucking sick, brutal, thick death grind, super progress and improvement from the first two demos. The Immortal Suffering demo that I had, I think was called Jesus Lied, I think. And I remember how the cover was... looked like it was drawn by a 7th grader. And I remember it was kind of slowish, but it was, I think it was still, I'd still want to listen to it. I'd still remember it after all these years. So, yeah, I'd listen to it again. Seraph, Cenotaph, Jungle Rot, Disinterment, Satan's God. Wow, that's a dumb title. Wicked Arrival of Nazi Aliens. Yeah, I don't think I'd be interested in a demo with a title like that. Nile, Ramsey's Bringer of War. That was the 3-song digipack, which I think was put out by Visceral Productions at the time. A very original band from South Carolina playing a combination of high riveting speed black death metal style with Pharaoh enhanced mummy rising interludes between the two tunes for a killer listen. I've never heard a Fender guitar sound so good. Pete, their skin beater, is a machine. Now, Nile has had a lot of good drummers. He's also the editor of a zine dedicated to drummers known as Deadbeat. That's pretty clever. Vocals range to guttural low, guttural's misspelled, with clarity and high power violence type. I don't know what power violence the genre meant at the time. You know what? I don't even know what it means now. We'll be releasing the CD through Visceral Productions. Visceral Productions was one of those record companies, kind of like Pulverizer Records. They had like a good roster and then just disappeared. Whatever. Mongoloid Witchcraft, Corporal Punishment, Morbus, Summon, whatever. Okay, let's go to the next page. Bands like Cerebral Turbulency, Church Burner. Oh, you felt the need to... Okay, he's going to review Exodus, Another Lesson in Violence. Whoa, what do we have here? The man himself, Paul Bailoff, is back in the Exodus lineup. Bonded by Blood is my favorite album of all times because of their destructive personality attitudes. This is a live recording in San Francisco taken from the show in the end of 96 or so. Total 80s style, but lives up to today's violence, I think. Crisp, clear mix, and will really appeal to old fans and a massive amount of new sickos. Monumental masterpiece here, folks, so grab it. Milwaukee show kicked my ass. Okay, we got a good one here. Mortal Decay, Sickening Erotic Fanaticism, or Sickening Erotic Phantasm, as Justin Horville pronounces it. The New Jersey Gore Grinders are back to fuck some folks up with this powerful 10-song CD of blood-soaked, surgically precise Mortal Decay-style bludgeon mayhem. I really like raging with the band, especially being from the East Coast and having a very distinct sound and style, using their own tweaks and pinched harmonics, not pinch harmonic, but pinched harmonics, okay, overtones, etc. The speed varies from slow double kicking chunks to hyper grind. Awesome. Kelly Izquierdo, I wonder how some people mispronounce his name, is doing Vokes now, and he was in Death Rune, and does a very killer job, I might add. Deep and high ends are executed well, and there's 4 songs from their previous demo, Brutalizing Creation. Those remakes were great too, and the originals were good too. Nice that they didn't screw it up. And since I'm familiar with that, those tunes definitely have a fresher twist to it. This, along with Dying Fetus and Flesh Grind, should make Randy from Pulverizer Records a household name. Yeah, I just brought up Pulverizer Records earlier. They had a great roster and then just petered out. What else? Edge of Sanity, don't care about that. Pederasty, Jesus Skin, Chasm, Possession, Broken Hope, Loathing. What does he have to say about Broken Hope, Loathing? 5-piece hailing from Northern Illinois that have been spreading violence for over 5 years now. Ooh, yeah. Beginning with the Swamped in Gore album on Grindcore International label. Since their inception, they have really been progressing with musical structure and sound. This being their 4th release, I believe, and captured much more destructive technicality in guitar riffing and Vokes patterns. Joe's voice has more clarity to it. I'll disagree with that one. Overall, this disc should be immediately picked up for your musical fix of crushing death metal. All right. Malevolent Creation and Cold Blood. I did not like that album. Grave, Unleashed, Internal Bleeding, and I don't really feel like doing any of that. Bullshit apology. I must apologize ahead of time. If you send us something and it is not in this issue, it will be in issue 10. Both myself and Dave Kibler have moved over the summer, so shit got kind of mixed up. All right, whatever. And it's got some ads here. So I paid $40 damn for this. So if you want to buy this, PayPal me $40. Email me at heavymetalpicker@protonmail.com, assuming I still have this for sale. Like I said, check out Count Grishnakh on eBay, and maybe the letter that I wrote to John Dwyer of Pathos Productions is still available. So, tell me about what you think about Dave Kibler's old-ass magazine from 1997.